Hi everyone, welcome to this Q&A. Very excited to be here with you today. Oi, see Atman, Jacob, tudo bom? Olá. Tudo bom, gente? Oi, Andrew. Oi, Aaron. So good to see you. Okay, so today I'm in Rio de Janeiro. I'm very excited about that. I just came back from the beach. You can tell that I have like a little bit red skin. Okay, guys. So Atman, if I'm going to speak Portuguese, not today because this is a Q&A, this is not a class, and I'm here to answer your questions. And I answered the questions in English because there are a lot of beginners watching this Q&A and they would not understand me if I spoke Portuguese. I will use Portuguese to give you examples depending on the context, okay? But if you watch my recorded videos, all my recorded videos are in Portuguese with subtitles, okay? Muito bom! So I'm here today to answer your questions and help you with your Portuguese. I always recommend that you watch the lesson that I published on Tuesday before joining me for this Q&A so you can ask more questions, right? Muito bom. David, tudo bom? Very good, guys. So a few comments. It is hard for me to read all your comments, so I recommend if you have a question, I recommend that you post the question when I say, oh, now I'm going to read your comments. You can copy and paste your question. You can do that more than one time on YouTube. If you're watching me on Instagram, you should use the tool. You see like the question mark tool, just click on that and then you can use that tool to ask me questions, okay? Okay, so let's start talking about the last lesson. I published a lesson last Tuesday about how to study Portuguese on YouTube. So YouTube has so many teachers of all languages, I would say, or many languages. It is a very good place to study languages, and there are many videos in Portuguese from Portuguese teachers, and I highly recommend you use this tool to learn and study Portuguese. In the video I give you a lot of ideas and tips on how to study Portuguese, and I give you some tips on how to use my material, the material that I published on YouTube. There are almost 200 videos available. So if you are a disciplined person, if you like to study by yourself, you can learn a lot from these videos. Okay, so I recommend you take a look at these videos, and I recommend you watch, if you have not watched the video that I published on Tuesday yet, I recommend you watch it to see more tips and on how to use my YouTube channel to learn Portuguese. Okay, so I see a question here from Margus. Como formar os fins de palavras com a palavra lo? Ajudá-lo, lembre-se. Okay, so these are two different topics, okay? Ajudá-lo is one thing and lembre-se is another thing. So ajudá-lo, this little word lo, L-O, it is an object pronoun. It replaces the object. So in this case, you could say ajudar você, help you, or ajudá-lo, okay? The correct way would be ajudá-lo, so you don't repeat, because usually we use the object pronouns to not repeat the pronoun, okay? So instead of saying the same pronoun over and over, you just use the dash lo instead. So it replaces the você, ele, ela. Okay, so the LO replaces this object in. This is a longer topic, as you can see. It's a more complicated topic. I'm just trying to explain to you using in a very short manner, but this would require a longer lesson. Object pronouns, it is not beginner level, okay? This is advanced level Portuguese. It is very complicated, and a lot of Brazilians just don't use these pronouns. A lot of Brazilians just use the regular pronouns, which are você, ele, ela. So if your level is beginner, I recommend you don't worry about that yet. But if your level is intermediate and advanced, then yes, you should learn how to use object pronouns. I am going to make a video about this topic soon. And the other verb, lembre-se, this is a reflexive verb. Lembre-se, it basically means remind yourself. So this se word, it is actually it means to remind yourself. So this is a reflexive verb, a pronominal verb. I do have a video about pronominal verbs on my YouTube channel, so I recommend, Margus, that you look for this video called Pronominal Verbs, and you will learn a little bit more about pronominal verbs and how to use this se little word. Okay? Okay, guys, looking for more questions. While you think about your questions, I'm going to answer some questions that I received on my YouTube club page. So this is one news that I wanted to talk to you about. I talked about it on my last video on Tuesday about the Speaking Brazilian YouTube club. So I created this page on my website where I organized my YouTube videos in the order that I recommend that you watch them, and I also place the transcript of the video and the translation of the video right below the video, so you can study the text. If you are interested in having access to the text of my videos and also to watch the videos in an organized order like a course, I recommend you take a look at my YouTube club, Speaking Brazilian YouTube club. You can sign up for free and test for 1 week for free. After 1 week, then you have to subscribe to a membership. It is very new. I just created this course. I haven't had time to add all the videos yet, but you'll find a lot of videos on the page already, and then by the end of the month, all videos will be available. Okay, so if you have signed up, just know that all videos are not available yet, but they will be available soon. Okay, so to learn more about the Speaking Brazilian YouTube club, just go to my website, speakingbrazilian.com, and then click on YouTube club and you'll learn more about it. Okay, so I have a couple of questions from members to answer. So one question is from Grace. So she says she's very interested in joining the essential course for beginners, and she's asking if all the lessons are in Portuguese with English subtitles, or if we speak English until we get to a higher level. So it depends, because my course for beginners is a mix of recorded lessons and live lessons. Okay, so if you the recorded lessons, they are all 100% in Portuguese with subtitles in Portuguese and English. So 2 subtitles, the language is Portuguese. I do that because it is very, very important that you listen to Portuguese as much as possible, so you get used to the language, okay? But the live lessons at beginner level, they teach English in class to make sure that you understand the teacher, right? So the class would be like 50-50, about 50% English and 50% Portuguese, because there's a little bit of explanation in English and then practice in Portuguese. So it would be 50-50 in the live classes, but they record all in Portuguese, but you have subtitles, so you will be able to understand everything, okay? So you have the immersive experience, but you won't get lost because you always have the support in English. So another question that I got for a member of YouTube Club is the use of the LHE, the word lhe. This is also an object pronoun. So this lhe, I also, same thing as I said with the lo word, I recommend that if you are a beginner, just don't worry about this now. This is an advanced topic. The use of object pronouns is very advanced. And this little word lhe, LHE, it is not very, very common in Portuguese, in Brazil, maybe in Portugal it is. So it is used only to replace indirect objects. So you see how advanced and complicated this topic is. If you don't know what an indirect object is, don't worry about using this word for now, okay? You will learn how to use object pronouns with practice. You don't really have to study all the rules. I recommend you don't worry about it because it is a more complex topic. But to explain in a very short manner, so the lhe replaces indirect objects. So for instance, I'm going to give you a sentence. If you want to say, I want to give you a gift. So instead of using the word you, eu vou dar presente para você. So you could say para você, to you. I'm going to give a gift to you. You could say, eu vou lhe dar presente. Lhe dar presente. The word lhe replaces para você. instead of para você, you can say lhe. Okay, so this is the explanation on how to use the word lhe. However, a lot of Brazilians don't use it. It sounds more formal. Even though it is the correct way of replacing the word para você, lhe, or para ele, para ela. Okay, so it replaces the third pronoun, ele, ela, and você, only if it is an indirect object, only if it is used with a preposition. Okay, I know this topic is complicated, guys. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The next question is how to use the word se in a sentence. For example, se você quiser, quando você estiver, etc. Basically here, you are talking, Grace, you are asking a question about the use of the future subjunctive tense. This is also an advanced topic. So all the questions today, guys, are advanced. It's okay, I understand. So the future subjunctive tense, it is used to talk about a hypothesis in the future. So if you're talking about the future and if you want to say, oh, if I go to Brazil, if you want, like you're talking about the future, you're not sure, it isn't a hypothesis, you don't know. So you should use subjunctive tense, and if it is in the future, it's the future subjunctive tense. So if you want to say, if you want, in the future, if you want, have classes with me, se você quiser. Se você quiser. So I did make a video about subjunctive. I have 3 videos about subjunctive tenses on my YouTube channel. One that I talk about present subjunctive, imperfect, past imperfect subjunctive, and future subjunctive. If you want to learn more about this, I recommend you watch these videos on YouTube. But if you are a beginner, I recommend you don't watch them now. Just wait a little bit. This is more intermediate and advanced level, okay? So whenever we use the word se and we are talking about the future, we should use future subjunctive tense. So I hope that helps, Grace. I recommend subjunctive tense. Take a look at my videos available on my YouTube channel about this topic. Very good questions, guys. Looking for more questions now. I'm going to take a look on Instagram to see if I have questions here. So yeah, so Erin's asking, do you have a YouTube video about reflexive verbs in Portuguese? Yes. So on my YouTube video, look for pronominal verbs, because on this video I talk verb is a kind of pronominal verb. So on my video on pronominal verbs, I talk about reflexive verbs and I explain exactly what is a reflexive verb and how to use them. So basically they are used with pronouns, right? So take a longer lesson, so I'm not going to explain about it now, but I recommend you watch the video. It's very complete and it will give you a good idea of how to use reflexive verbs and pronominal verbs. So question from Daryl. Quando usar você ou tu? So when to use tu or você? I also have a video about this on my YouTube channel. So when to use one or the other, it doesn't matter. They have exactly the same meaning. Doesn't matter. Brazilians, they mix both. We use both all the time. It depends on the region. So São Paulo and Rio, it is more common to listen people using você. In the south, Porto Alegre, for instance, they always use tu. Some places in the north and northeast also use tu. So it really depends on the region. The meaning is exactly the same. I always teach my students to use the pronoun você, because the conjugation of the pronoun você is easier. Okay, the conjugation is easier. So if you want to know my opinion, which one you should learn, I recommend you use você, because the conjugation is much easier and you can use você all over Brazil. But if you hear people using tu and você, it's the same. There is no difference, okay? It's just a question, a matter of regionalism. Looking for more questions, guys. So, similar question about você. Is você formal or informal? It is informal. However, in some places in Brazil, they use it in a more formal situation. So this is very regional. For me, você and tu are both informal way. If you want to be formal in Portuguese, you are going to refer to a person as senhor or senhora. this is formal, okay? Senhor means sir, senhora means lady, madam. So this is formal. So if you go, for instance, today I was called senhora. So I went to a restaurant and they called, oh, bom dia, senhora, like good morning, madam. So this is formal. Senhor and senhora. Você, tu are both informal, okay? However, we are informal here in Brazil, so you can use você in every situation. If you're not sure, if you want to be more formal, I recommend you use senhor or senhora. Senhor if you're talking to a man, senhora if you're talking to a woman. Good questions, guys. Looking for more questions here. I know that there are more. Okay. So this is an interesting question. How Brazilian people often say that when they want something is eu vou. So you're talking about future tense here, Moha. So eu vou or eu vou tomar or eu tomarei. So here this question is interesting because we have two future tenses in Portuguese, right? We have the compound tense eu vou tomar, I will take, and eu tomarei. It has the same meaning. There is no difference in the meaning. However, eu tomarei is more formal. It sounds more formal. In spoken language, it's much more common to say eu vou tomar. Okay, so in spoken language, it's much more common to use the compound tense with verb to go, verb ir. Eu vou tomar, eu vou viajar, eu vou plus verb. So this is very easy to use. You just say eu vou, I will, and then the main verb, it's unconjugated, okay? You just add the main verb, you don't have to conjugate it. Okay, very good questions. Now looking for more questions here. So this is an interesting question from Rato. So is para você and pra você the same thing? Yes, the answer is yes. It means the same thing. Pra is a short version of para. And in spoken language, we always say pra. We never say para. Like if I say, I'll go to the beach this afternoon, eu vou pra praia. Pra praia. So you have the double sound here. So pra, we can always say pra. In spoken language, is much more common to say pra. But we can also, when you're writing, both ways are used. You can write either para or pra. The meaning is the same. Pra is a short version of para. Is a little bit more informal. Okay. Okay. Looking for more questions. Muito bom. How can I exercises and books? Oh well, there is one book about grammar. Just one little thing about grammar. I recommend that you take it easy on grammar. I know it is important to study grammar, but just be careful to not be too worried about grammar, because first reason is that if you worry too much about the rules, that will block you to speak, because if you're thinking about too much about can block you. And the second reason is that the grammar that you find in books is not the language that people speak. So if you study grammar in books and then you talk to a Brazilian, you see that the way that we speak is very different from the books. So be careful with grammars. But I'm not saying that you should not study grammar. I think it is important. I love studying grammar. I study grammar a lot. Just remember that, okay? So just remember to not worry too much so you don't get blocked. And remember that spoken language it doesn't follow all the grammar rules. There are many differences when you are speaking. But there are two books that I recommend. It's called Gramática Ativa. Gramática Ativa. You find it on Amazon. They have two books, one beginner level and one intermediate level. They have a lot of exercises. So this book is good to memorize grammar. Okay, so if you want to study grammar and memorize conjugation and other details, this book is very good. Just remember the two things that I told you before about grammar. Muito bom. Very good questions, guys. So one more question here. Vir me pegar ou pegar-me. Vir me pegar ou pegar-me. So in Brazil, we always use the first option. Vir me pegar. Can you come and pick me up? Você pode vir me pegar? Can you come here and pick me up? Você pode vir me pegar? We never say pegar-me in Brazil. No. However, that option pegar-me, it's not one word, it's pegar dash me. That is used in Portugal. So in Portugal, they use more, they like to place the pronoun at the end of the verb. In Brazil, we always place it before the verb. Okay, so this is just a difference between Brazilian Portuguese and Portuguese spoken in Portugal. Okay, very good questions, guys. I'm looking for more questions. Muito bom. So there's a question here about books. How can I find storybooks for beginners, kids, or on internet? There are many books on Amazon, but I do recommend if you're looking for Brazilian books, you can buy Brazilian books from a Brazilian bookstore called Livraria Cultura, culture in Portuguese, Cultura, Livraria Cultura. They are based in Brazil, but they do international delivery, and it even paying the international shipping, it's more affordable to buy Brazilian books from here at Livraria Cultura than buying it on Amazon, depending, I mean, if you're buying just one book, maybe it's cheaper, it's more affordable to get it on Amazon, depending on the book. But if you want to buy like a couple, like 3-4 books, it's already worth it to pay the shipping and buy it on Livraria Cultura, and you find a lot of options, a lot of Brazilian books. I recommend for beginners and for kids, I recommend the books, I recommend Turma da Mônica, Monica's Gang. It's super fun, it's a comic book. There are thousands of these comic books available. I also recommend the children books from, I have a list. You know what, if you want a list from the books that I recommend, just send me a message via Instagram or email me and I'll just send you a link. I have a link from Amazon with a list of books that I recommend. And I recorded a video about books and how to study Portuguese using books, and a lot of recommendations. I'm going to publish this video by the end of this month, so stay tuned. Muito bom, very good questions, guys. Looking for more questions here. If you have more questions, just remember to copy and paste so I can see, because it is hard for me to read all your comments. Muito bom. So this is an interesting question. Can native Brazilians understand if we just use present, past, and future simple? Well, it really depends on what you want to say. If you know present, past, and future, the simple tenses, the 3 main most important tenses, you can talk about a lot of things, right? So this is very good. So if you know how to talk about the present, it means that you can talk about hobbies, you can talk about things that you like to do, you can ask questions. So it really depends on, it's not only the tenses, but your vocabulary, okay? Are you able to ask questions and answer questions in present tense, past tense, and future tense? If you can do that, you can have conversations about a lot of things with Brazilians. Okay, so the answer is yes, but you should know not only the tenses, but also the vocabulary that you can use with these tenses, okay? Okay, guys, you have very good questions today, so I'm looking for more questions. So this question is interesting. One, are there informal and informal contractions like num, n'algum, noutras? Are they optional? So the contraction num is optional. Em you could say em or num. In spoken language, it's more common to say num, but if you're writing, it is optional. Both ways are correct. The others are not, I don't think they exist. Maybe they exist, but they're not common at all. N'algum and outras, no, we don't do that contraction. But num is very common. Num and numa, okay, the feminine and the masculine, they are common, and they are in spoken language. The contraction form is more common. So okay, if you say I go Eu vou em restaurante is more common to say eu vou num restaurante. Num restaurante. It's very fast, it's faster. So whenever we do a lot of these contractions in spoken language because it is faster, right? Very good question, Juan. Muito bom. Excelente. So are there any official Portuguese certificates that prove your level of Portuguese, for example, employers? Yes, so if you, for instance, if you go to Brazil to work or study, you should take a test called CELPE-BRAS. CELPE-BRAS. It is a test that you tell it is a test of proficiency, right? To tell if you are proficient in Portuguese, if your level is good enough to go to the university in Brazil or to work in Brazil. So this is equivalent to the TOEFL that we take in the US, for instance. So when I moved to New York, I went to college in New York and I had to take the TOEFL test to study there. So if you come to Brazil, you have to take CELPE-BRAS. And a lot of my students, they take the test just for fun, just to evaluate the level, because if you pass the test, if you have a good grade, that means that you are proficient in Portuguese. And it's a very interesting goal, right? If your level is advanced, I don't recommend this for beginner or lower intermediate level because it is a difficult test. But if your level is upper intermediate and advanced, that is a fun goal to have. You could prepare yourself for taking the CELPE-BRAS test. That would help you a lot to improve your Portuguese, and it would be fun, and you would learn a lot. So CELPE-BRAS, Ana, CELPE-BRAS. Muito bom, very good questions, guys. So let me see one more question here. So Luisa's asking, what is the monthly fee for the Speaking Brazilian YouTube club? So the monthly fee is $3.99, so it's less than $1 a week, and you can try 1 week for free. And then you should cancel because you have to add your credit card. You know, that's how these programs work. And then if you want to cancel, you just have to cancel before the end of the week so you don't get charged. Otherwise, you'll just be charged automatically. You can cancel at any time. There is no minimum commitment. And in this club, in this place, you won't have access to any new material. The material is the same that is available on YouTube. It is important for you to know that. Same videos. The difference that the videos will be organized in a very specific order, the order that I recommend that you watch them, because on YouTube it is not possible to do that. On YouTube, a lot of I receive messages all the time, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know how should I start studying Portuguese. I don't know where to start, what to do. So I organize the content so you can study using my YouTube videos, but it looks like a course. Okay, so it has a beginner, middle, and end. It is organized, and every week I'll add a new video and a new transcript, and below each video there is a transcript. So the text of the video and the translation. So some of you, not everyone, but some of you like to study the text. So you have access to that on my on this page, on the members page. And also every week I'll post a new video with a new transcript, and you'll receive an email with the link of this new page. So this will be more organized. It will help you to study using my material. That's why it is a very affordable program, because the material is actually already available, but you have access to more content, which is the text, and also in an organized way. And also I created a page in the course where you can ask questions, and I will prioritize your questions. For instance, it is hard for me to read all your comments, but I made sure to answer the questions that I saw on the page. So if you post your questions in advance on the courses page, you have your question answered in the Q&A. Okay, so these are the differences from studying on YouTube or joining the YouTube club. Okay, Luisa, very good question. Okay, guys, it was wonderful to see you today. I'll be here again next week on Thursday. I am traveling in Brazil. I'm not sure how my internet will be. If I have to cancel, I'll let you know on either on YouTube and also my Facebook group. But I'll try to be here next week, next Thursday at 12 p.m. New York time. I hope I'll see you next week. Um beijo grande e até a próxima semana. Tchau, tchau!